So, the Four Nations Faceoff is now behind us, and I don't think there is any way you can describe it other than just an absolute shining moment for the National Hockey League. And the final game, it was an unbelievable game to wrap up a fantastic tournament that gets its golden moment at the end, with Connor McDavid getting his first real big international moment. Not quite the golden goal, but still just a fantastic moment in all of that. And he was so good all tournament. The championship game was definitely his worst game. And in best on best, it's tough to stand out in the way that he did. You know, it's tough to really make that type of an impact and stand out amongst the best players in the National Hockey League. So for him to look just as good in that game as he would against Columbus on a Friday is remarkably impressive when you sit down and you actually think about it. One of the things, because I liked a lot of this, I think you can kind of tell, I liked a lot of how this tournament ended up and how it all kind of played out. One of the things I really did enjoy was this got to be a bit of a victory lap that Sidney Crosby, I think, definitely deserved. It kind of felt like one of the sub-stories of the whole tournament was this celebrating Sidney Crosby and this respect that the entire National Hockey League has for Sid the Kid, so to speak. And it kind of reminded me, honestly, very similar to what we saw with Mario Lemieux in 2002, where like a big part of that was just like, Gretzky's gone, this guy is still here, and this guy is still amazing. Hey, Toxic, how's it going? I was saying before, we're trying a couple of things on the stream and everything today. So if you could just let me know if everything is synced up, that would be just very much appreciated. But no, it was great to see Sidney Crosby get his flowers in a way that I think was richly deserved. And I feel like sometimes we don't celebrate people while they're actually doing what they should be celebrated for. And so for him to get that, I thought was really great that they were a lot of people showing kind of their support and their celebration for Sidney Crosby. Jordan Binnington stealing the show in the last game. He answered a lot of questions about him in that final game. In overtime, he was brilliant. It was like big chance after big chance that he shut down. I don't want to be super negative. I do want to push back a little bit on a lot of people owe Jordan Binnington an apology. It's like, look, I doubted him in that game, 100% I did. We talked about it on here. I still would have started him given how everything played out. But I had my doubts around what he could be and what he would be in that championship game. But one great game doesn't erase the three other ones where he was just kind of That doesn't, oh no, actually, in hindsight, he was phenomenal in those games. Like, that's not how memories work. So let's not go too far on this. But yes, I think we can all appreciate that he had a good game. Thank you for the heads up, Toxic. I appreciate it that everything is looking good so far. That is actually a gigantic sigh of relief. Going to try a couple more things as we kind of roll on here today. In that final game, Mitch Marner was excellent. He is so talented that the big problem, or the big moments, have always given him big problems. And I have thought before, and it sounds like the utmost excuse making, but I have thought before that it was a little bit he was trying too hard in big moments for the Leafs and just like wanting it too much. And again, I know that sounds like excuses, but I genuinely believe that when it comes to that guy. But he seemed to channel it all in that gold medal game, and he was just absolutely excellent. He bookended the tournament really well. He got the great start against the Swedes, and then a fantastic gold medal game there. This was a leveling up tournament for a few Canadian players. I think later on the week, we're going to do a full kind of stock watch, like who went up, who went down in this whole thing. But a few players just on Canada that really stood out. Braden Point did not look out of place among the top players in the world. He had an excellent tournament, and I think he could really be kind of the Iginla coming out of it. Remember back in 2002, and they talked a lot about this when Jerome McGinley was retiring, and they were retiring his number, out here, and all of that. And it was like, you get to 2002, he goes to the camp, and it's like, oh, I'm not just here. Like, I belong here, and I might be better than a lot of the guys here. And then as the tournament goes on, it's like, oh, damn, I'm beating everybody. Like, I am one of the best players in the world. And it just kind of leveled him up into another stratosphere. I wonder if it could be that same way for Braden Point. Obviously, success has not eluded him Stanley Cup-wise in the way that it did Jarome Iginla, but I feel like Braden Point could be someone who comes out of this tournament with a new sense of like, no, man, I played with the best players in the league and I belonged. And so I wonder if there's a bit of a boost there. I thought Brandon Hagel played his role perfectly. He was everything you needed from a checking forward, and I think his stock really does get elevated coming out of this one. Same thing with Josh Morrissey. I thought like he misses the last game, but I thought he was brilliant all tournament long. His speed, his skill, his awareness, all of it on full display. I really enjoyed watching him play, and I don't know how you don't think more highly of a guy like Thomas Harley, who filled in really well. Kid coming in cold to that setting, and again, didn't look out of place even for 1 second. So bravo to him for putting on that sort of a performance. The grinders really stepped up too. Like Brad Marchand is not what he used to be. That's very clear at this point. But his awareness on the ice is so high. Like I don't think he gets enough credit for the hockey brain that is behind that punchable face. It was remarkable the amount of times that you would find a guy wide open and you go back like, okay, where did that come from? Oh, it's Marchand finding him. And just his vision out on the ice and the way that he knows where everyone is and how to draw defenders to him and create openings for his teammates was a treat to watch, really. So happy that we got to see that from him. And Sam Bennett came to play. You know you're not going to get that type of energy all year long, but one of the things that people were talking about here in Calgary when he was kind of doing his thing and not very effectively is that he was trying to do too much. And it was a lot of like, I'm going to make 18 different moves and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and whatever. And I had kind of said, like, let's not try to take the skill away from this guy. And this was one of the cases where I think I was wrong on that, because I think he is best when he is, I call it a table hockey guy. Like, okay, this is your lane and you just go up and down it really, really fast and you crash into shit. And sometimes that takes you to the net and you put the puck into it. Cool. That's when he is at his best, when you just simplify it. And he simplifies his game in the big moments so effectively. And it is what makes him, I think, so special and what brings playoff Bennett out every single year. On the other side, this one is obviously going to sting for the Americans. They had so much talent on this team, and they had that game. Like, overtime was right there for the taking for them, and they just couldn't quite get it. We don't have to rehash the game. It's about a week ago now. But just quickly, a couple of guys again who step up in this tournament and kind of level up here. Jacob Slavin, I thought, was phenomenal in the gold medal game, and I have always said, oh no, he's a good defenseman in the NHL. But he showed in that game on Thursday, that he is one of the best defensemen in the world. And just that quick reaction, timing it perfectly, knocking the puck away from Sidney Crosby in that chance in front is exquisite. Like, he was just, again, an absolute shutdown guy in some of the biggest moments in that game. And for him to step up in that way was very impressive, again, with McAvoy dealing with the injury issue that he was dealing with. I do also think, like, a guy like Boldy really stepped up. Dylan Larkin, I think he reminded everyone of just how good he is. Like the short area speed and quickness that he has are so good. He always seemed to find himself in the right spot. And Boldy, Minnesota doesn't get a ton of the attention. Larkin, Detroit hasn't really been relevant for a little bit, but these guys reminded you like, hey, by the way, some very good players on those teams. Talked about Slavin already, and Jake Sanderson, he did not look out of place as a seventh defenseman. So, again, overall, this tournament delivered everything you wanted it to. It was an amazing appetizer for the Olympics. The player buy-in was exceptional. Basically, every game delivered. You have a classic finish. It got the buzz in the States that you really wanted to see, and that has been one of the overall frustrating things about the NHL not doing the best on best for as long as they have, is you have this golden era of American talent, and you're not showcasing it on these big stages. Well, now they have. And you get the amazing for them comparison, and remarkably unfair, but amazing for them comparison to just a piss poor NBA All-Star weekend. And this magic, it was exactly what the NHL needed this whole tournament to be. So bravo to them, and cannot wait now for the Olympics coming up in 2026. So that is just some final words on the Four Nations Faceoff. Sorry.